And it is perfectly 12 p.m. Beautiful. We only have 2 in the waiting room for now, but we have 12 people signed up. Possibly.
Hi.
Hey, Dana.
Hi, Jeff.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. Just been 81 degrees here in been 80 plus degrees here in my apartment. So.
Wow, that's hot.
Well, it's only supposed to be 104 where I'm sitting today.
Wow.
And I'm in my garage with no air conditioning.
Yeah. Well,
I know. It was 91 degrees yesterday in my car.
Yeah. Well, it's been like this since Friday. So hopefully it'll start to cool down by the end of this week. So.
Wow.
That's really unusual for you guys, isn't it?
Well, it's outside. It's like in the 70s, but in my apartment because they turn the heat on in my building, it's been 80 plus degrees. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Great. I'll add people as they come in. But Ben is here. Hi, Ben.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Ben, welcome to your first Lunch and Learn.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Dominic, come look at Santa Claus.
Hi, Joanne. Good to see you.
Come here. Don't be shy.
Dominic, what's up, buddy?
There's your friend.
I haven't seen you since we were at the beach. How have you been?
Aw.
John, he's been wanting to see you. Now, why he's acting like this, who knows? Who knows?
Is that a Hulk shirt he's wearing?
No.
No?
Look at his
Hi,
shirt.
Tom.
Say good afternoon. You know what, guys? I'm so sorry. We have to leave around 12:30 because his ABA, but we wouldn't miss it for the world, John.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. My beard is glowing whiter because Dominic's here.
Oh, no kid. Yeah. Mine is too.
All right, and thank you, Marilee, for joining too. Yay. Okay, I'll go ahead and
Marilee, is she on there?
yes.
Marilee, look behind me. Hi, Tom. Marilee, look at behind me.
I see it.
Yeah. Awesome.
My
I'll
Marilee artwork.
go ahead and get started. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for
Hey,
joining.
Dominic, who's that behind me?
Okay, here. There we go.
More people are
Sully.
Oh, look.
So a couple Zoom rules, everyone. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional. And please type all your questions and comments into the chat. We will have a Q&A with John at the end of our Lunch and Learn after his presentation. That's about 5 to 10 minutes. So we'd love to hear from you during then, and then also during the presentation. If you have any comments, we'd love to have you type it in the chat. A quick update from Autism Tree. Since March, which is over 200 days ago, I can't believe it, we have reached over 422,000 people through our social media now, which is a huge milestone accomplishment for us. 400, shooting for that, 500,000, and that's through all of our platforms. So our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and so on. We have also shared our post 749 times. People have shared our posts, which is amazing. So please keep sharing. We want to reach more people, help everybody feel connected during this time. Thank you to everyone who has shared all of our posts. And we also have 265 impact videos on our YouTube channel. So subscribe today if you haven't. We are posting videos daily, and there's always something new to see at our YouTube channel. 215 videos have been added since March 12th. which is insane. And then we also have our Reading with Autism Tree series. We've posted 79 videos and we've reached over 40,000 people just through that video series, where our volunteers submit reading a children's book to our kids. We've also provided 133 virtual events to date, and we have 22 events coming up between now and the end of October. And we are now offering 19 of our 20 programs, 18 virtual, 1 in person. If most of you have tuned in for our weekly Lunch and Learns, it used to be 18, but we just recently adapted our USD football player mentor program to be virtual. So now it's 19 of our 20 programs, which is incredible. And our special guest today, John, is our program director of the USD athletic program, so he will speak a little bit about that today. But first I'll introduce our co-founder and volunteer executive director, Dana Hoff, and she will share what's inspired her about our special guest this week.
Hi, ATPF family. I am so happy to be here with you and celebrate. I know every week is a more insane week than the week before. I know probably many of you did or didn't watch the debate last night, and I know I had to get off social media today just because taking in all the feedback on that.
Can I interrupt you on one thing?
I don't want you to think I'm not in reality about our country and our world. I just feel insanely blessed that somehow with you during these unprecedented times in our world that we have come together every week for 25 weeks. It's just something I think we should have a moment of pause. 25 weeks. No missing time together. And John, I think Hickey has been on every one, and I think it is no accident that he's our 25th speaker. John wasn't supposed to be the speaker today, and Ian Miller, who was supposed to be on, had a family emergency or something, and of course John, being the angel that he is, stepped up. And this morning, usually Todd is driving to work by at least 6:30 in the morning, and this morning we had like a little reflection on John Hickey, which we've never done before Todd went to work today. And I wanted you to know, John, what Todd had to say about you, which really honestly blessed me this morning to start that way. He just was saying what a gentle giant of a man you are, and how he can never think of any time that you've ever come in and taken something. You have just always been there, like this amazing presence, and he just used every imaginable beautiful adjective you would ever want someone to say about you, of just being, you're present, you bring so much love and heart wherever you go, and yet you're gentle, you're not, you're just everyone's drawn to you, and I feel that you bring out the best in everybody, and I really do think that you always bring out the best in me, and I think that's saying a lot. I don't always think it's, I'm not always easy. I always have a lot of big ideas, and I always want things a certain way, and I hope I've gotten better at that. But in the early days, John and I have been together since really almost when the foundation was started. We couldn't even find the pictures of the event that I met John at, which was a boxing club event. It was a fundraiser casino night, and it, like always, that event would have never been what it was until John came on the scene. And we were all like, who's this guy? How is this happening? I mean, before I ever even met him, I was jaw-dropped everything he made happen for that fundraiser. I was hearing that chairs were coming from Humphreys, and just John can add all the other things into it, but John made so much happen. We were sitting at the boxing club watching boxing in Humphreys chairs with the menus still attached. And then I remember John that day. He was just so full of ideas and full of life. And I remember him having a compassion for the girl that spoke at that event, which was pretty unique. She worked at Starbucks and had a boyfriend, and she had Asperger's. And really, she got on the boxing stage and she really couldn't talk, but she was so emotional. And in a room full of people with tattoos and kind of a rougher crowd, we didn't even really know anyone, which was awesome. It really was a perfect awareness event. I just remember that she had such a huge impact, just putting herself out there like that. Every person, I remember, like every person went up to her and was so grateful that she took the time to try to share what it was like for her living with Asperger's. And I remember John completely being in the mix and us kind of just really being blessed by that young girl that someone brought to the event from Starbucks. Starbucks was like a partner at that event, but every single big event that Autism Tree has done, John has been the architect, the magic literally behind it. If you don't know John, he's a lighting and sound genius. He legitimately is. The things he's done could never be exaggerated. And we are going to show some pictures later of a lot of the work that we've done, but it won't even capture all of it by any stretch of the imagination. And I just wanted to kick off a question with, what are you committed to? Because I can't thank John enough for being so committed to Autism Tree Project since the day we met. I feel like I can't even imagine an Autism Tree, you know, without you in it. And when I say that, I also even just mean I just feel like we've gone through so much life together. And I actually feel very, very proud and blessed that I feel like, John, you are the best version of yourself right now. I loved every version of you, but to me, the version of yourself right now during this global pandemic really makes me soul level proud to be part of your life and blessed by you. And if you don't know it, you certainly, I feel during this particular chapter, this shelter in place, you personally have inspired me for 25 weeks to really breathe and be the best version of myself that I can be. And I know I don't stand alone on that. Everyone who's been at the Lunch and Learns and sees you and when you've been contributing and what you putting out there and all the people you're always helping behind the scenes is something that cannot be overstated. If you don't know John, you will find this to be true. If you know John, you already know it's true. I picked this video because I feel that it really showcases commitment, and it's only 1 minute. And John, this is how I see you at Autism Tree. When you look at all the big things we've done, John's commitment is right there in the mix of our success every single time. So I want to take a moment to share this video.
Are you committed? Because without commitment, nothing happens. You have to be committed through the storm and the rain and the heartache and the pain and the disappointment, or you're not gonna make it. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. While they was golfing, I was studying. While they was shooting hoops, I was studying. While they was playing games and sitting up and eating and joking in the restaurant, I was studying. You can't get out of something that you're not willing to put into it. You have to put your everything, your mind, your energy, your effort, your discipline, your tenacity. Nothing is going to jump out the fire. If you don't throw something in there, it's not going to happen. But if we fight every day, one of them days will be my day.
I don't know how you feel watching that, John, but I have to tell you, I feel like it nails what it's taken for us to do all the many things that we've done together. And while we would love to go out bike riding and doing fun things together, that I know I see you out bike riding now and I think, gosh, I love bike riding too, and just hiking and all the things that we would love to do. The fact is, in 16 years, we can't even count on one time things that we've done that would just be free play. We are always, always, always united on big projects and helping individual children and families. And I don't get to tell John enough how much I see his fingerprints all over, yet how much I know that he does that I don't, because that's just how he rolls. And I love, love, love that about John Hickey. And I want to bring up the quote I picked for you, Jay. Don't close the book when bad things happen in your life. Just turn the page and begin a new chapter. And I feel like I just naturally have done this with John since we met. I can't even think, John, what chapter we're on. Autism Tree is 16 years old, but I feel like we've lived many, many, many more chapters than that from all the things that we've done together for the Autism Tree team, children and families, and you never cease to amaze me with your creativity. And these photos that we're going to bring up will not even do justice to the volumes of incredible work that you've done. You are the father, I'm sure most people know, to all the football players since the origin of the program started, which our football program started in 2008 at USD when Coach Carragher was there, and then our baseball program in 2013. I love these photos. I love the one of Todd and I with you and Fran and Sandy Anderson, who was the mom of the football players, when we started our first Winter Wonderland, which honestly is the event I always look forward to every single year. The only times I've missed it is because I was on the East Coast, but I love the Winter Wonderland, and this year we're already talking about how to do it on a more virtual level with the families, and I'm so thrilled about that. And John is just always at the heart and soul with the players wherever they are, baseball or football, and has such a gift to be able to know what one of our kids would be paired best with a lot of the different players in terms of their special needs. And I know John could share a lot of stories on that. The one that just jumps out for me is the child that was blind, and John had one of our, I can't remember who he had, giving him the play-by-play so he could take in the game. And there's not even one time that John had a family with a child that had a special need that he couldn't figure out a way to have them come and feel engaged during a football game, which is fully incredible.
That was Eric Weber, who's wearing the number 5 jersey in the picture in the upper left right there. Is the one who did the play-by-play.
I had forgotten that. I hadn't forgotten the story, but I didn't remember it was Eric. Amazing.
What I'm here for.
I love this picture. This is our first 500-person event together. John, literally, there's no way I could exaggerate what he did to make that event beyond first class. It was 2008, lights out, with James Toney and one of the San Diego Chargers. And people still talk about that event today, as they talk about Party Like a Rock Star at Hard Rock Hotel in 2013, and also our luncheons. Each luncheon has continued to be talked about. Our first inaugural 100 tables of 100 ambassadors, 10 people at a table, 1,000 people event. People still can't believe that we're able to do that, but we haven't just done it once. We did it twice with Breakfast at Tiffany's, and we're supposed to do our first nighttime 1,000-person event this year for our Sweet 16. And as you know, because of COVID-19, we're postponing that, but we just successfully did our first ever virtual auction. And I want to give major gratitude to everybody, especially Rebecca Barron, for pulling that off. We actually doubled what we raised. Our goal was 10,000, we raised over 20. So knowing that our expenses monthly are around $15,000 to $20,000 a month, give or take, to continue Autism Tree, this is extraordinarily huge blessing, and we are so grateful for it. I'm going to bring up another slide about John. And the Neuroscience Conference is something we worked on for 2 years before our first one. And each one has been a huge milestone for us in bringing more awareness to the neuroscience rock stars in San Diego to actually connect and meet real families through Autism Tree that live and breathe autism every day. And these are the people that have dedicated their lives to groundbreaking research and things that can really make a difference for people with autism. And also, I know on this call, Jeff, you have been on our panel, and John has been so integrated into each conference with Dr. Motri and Roger Bingham, our chairman and moderator, to really bring to life just more connection, I would say, each year. And I think that John has such a gift in that area, which is probably one of the most important things to me as a human being, is connection. I think we all want connection. I think we all need it more than we ever have. And I feel like that's one of John's biggest gifts, is that he truly brings him as a human, brings so much more connection to wherever he is, even the lunch and learn. And I thank you, John, for the support that you've given since the day we met, for truly bringing out the best of me, and for helping me lead and continue to bring Autism Tree to the places we've always wanted it to go, which is, we always have really big dreams. And a lot of you know that we've been working hard for a long time on one place with Rich Horner, but John is 100% at the epicenter of what makes Autism Tree what it is today and what we're trying to do each day moving forward. So with huge love and gratitude, I introduce John Hickey, and I can't wait to learn from you today, Jay.
Well, thank you very much, Dana. And yeah, one of the favorite things that Todd said about me somewhere over the years was, said I was the foundation of the foundation. And I kind of, you know, he said the cornerstone of what, and my background, and Ben will appreciate this, of being an offensive lineman in football, we do the dirty work. We're like the behind the scenes guys that just get in, get dirty, get it done, and take care of the people that shine. You know, we block for the quarterback and the running backs, and you know, I block for Dana and Todd, and make it so that when they're up on stage, they're shining and nothing's going on and they don't have anything to worry about behind the scenes. So that's why the neuroscience is so fun for me, because the first year we did it, we come walking into the Sanford Auditorium and they're like, okay, here's all the stuff. John, you know how it works, right? I'm like, this is all integrated through is there anybody from the building here to walk us through? And they go, no, you can figure it out. Okay. So I just went, and literally over the 5 years we've done it, I just kind of go in, and the first day I went in, just started pushing buttons, and okay, that'll work. Yep. And you know, just to do all that on the front side to make it smooth so that nobody notices that there's any bumps or stuff going on. And because, you know, that's what I do, kind of, sort of, that's what I did for a living before the Corona thing, when we actually used to gather and do meetings. And now I'm hanging out in my garage production studio. But back what Dana talked about, our first event that we did together with the boxing company, the story behind that, I was stage manager at Humphrey's Concerts, and it was a Sunday morning. Two girls came over from, pulled in the parking lot as me and my crew were pulling band gear out of a truck in the parking lot, and they walked up and said, hey, we're looking for donations for a charity event. I looked at them, I'm like, on a Sunday morning in the parking lot? Did you go to the restaurant or the front desk? No, we just pulled up and saw you guys working and figured you worked here. Okay. Do you like have a flyer for the event or something? I can pass it on to the right people. And they handed me a flyer that said Autism Boxing Company, supportive Autism Tree Project. Well, 3 months before that, my son had been diagnosed as being on the spectrum. And I was on a show back in in Washington, D.C., ironically for a bunch of lobbyists. And in one of those talks, we had the chairman of NBC TV who said that his grandkids had autism and he was going to pledge the resources of NBC to help get the word out and all that. And I'm sitting there running the show and said, well, you know, I don't have the resources of NBC, but I have a lot of resources. So I'm going to try to reach out to the autism community. And I shot off a bunch of emails to different groups. And it's like, hey, I produce events, I do fundraisers, I do rock and roll marathon, street scene, whatever. I'd love to kind of help. Crickets. I didn't hear back from anybody. And I was kind of discouraged. And then this Sunday morning, ironically that I didn't get to go to church that Sunday morning because I had an early setup at Humphreys, these two angels from the boxing company came in, handed me this flyer, and I literally looked at the flyer and said, see what you're doing. I said, I like how you work. Okay. And I looked at the girl and said, yeah, I'll take care of this. That Monday, I met with the girls at the boxing company and took notes on everything that they wanted to do at the gym, turning it into casino night. And I said, okay, well, give me the week to work on this. I'll get back to you guys on Friday. And they go, work on what? You wrote down everything. And I was like, well, yeah, let me get this stuff. And they go, but you wrote down like chairs and tables. And I go, yeah, we got Humphreys. We have tables and chairs. Our season ends 3 weeks before this event. So they're going to be sitting in a warehouse. So I'll see if I can get them. She goes, well, you wrote down beer. You can't get free beer. And I put a star next to the free beer and got 5 different vendors to donate 4 or 5 cases of beer each. We got wine and everything. Got the whole thing together, pulled it off. And I remember meeting Dana and she was the first person that ever Googled me. And I wasn't even, to the point, I honestly wasn't sure what it meant to be Googled. And she's like, we met at Starbucks down the street from there next to the Einstein Bagels on Rosecrans. And it was her and Marley. And she's like, yeah, we Googled you and you did this. Did you really do all of these things? And I'm like, yeah, whatever Google thing is, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I produce events and I had my own production company at the time and worked for, said Humphreys Street Scene, did 24 of the 26 street scene music festivals that we did downtown. And when it moved around, I was still part of that. Humphreys for 15 years, Rock and Roll Marathon for 12 or 13 years. And just had fun doing, the events. And then one of the companies I worked for offered me a full-time position in like 2011, I think, and took that full-time deal. And then right before that is when we had started, like Dana said, in 2008, we started up the football program. And I remember being in a meeting with Dana and Wendy Carragher and saying, hey, what do you guys think? Do you think this would work? And I'm like, as a former football player, absolutely, this will work because the guys will be into it. If we can get, we already have the coach's wife involved. That means the coaches is going to, because if the coach's wife is saying yes, it's yes. But Sandy was like, nope, I'm going to run with this. I'm going to make it happen. I was like, all right, great. So she took the lead on it. The early years, it was Sandy pretty much working with the parent side of it. And I got to contact with the players, which was great for me because I got a reason to go back and interact with college football players. And I knew as a former college football player, what a program like this would mean to them. I remember the kid when I played football at Cal Lutheran, a kid that wanted to carry my helmet. And I'm like, what? I'm nobody. And he's like, no. And his mom said, you're not nobody, you're talking to him. And just because you're taking the time to interact with him, you are someone to him. And I was like, okay. And so which leads me to today's message that I put together. And actually, because of the short notice, I decided to recycle one from last year that I did. So Karen and anybody else that's on here that was at the core team meeting from last year, you've already seen this, but On that, I literally kind of put this together of, wow, what would I talk about at a core team meeting? And then, today's a lunch and learn. So I thought I'd break out the Dr. Seuss of some things to learn from Dr. Seuss and words of wisdom to live by. And you'll see how we tie this all together. So smiles are always in style. And more so than even last year when I wrote this. The world would be a better place if people started smiling at each other more often, which, with the mask on and everything, it's kind of hard to see people's smiles. But I've commented on some friends of mine pictures on social media that even through their mask, you can see their smile. You can see a smile in people's eyes. You can see it in their body language, their voice, their actions. And, smiling just means that you're happy with what you're doing and you're trying to make other people, you're trying to share that with other people. So whether you're wearing a mask, which I hope you are wearing a mask when you're out in public, it's still okay to smile because people can still see and feel your smile through that mask. And that's one thing that this program does. And last year at our in-person meet and greet, there were smiles all over the place. In this next slide, you can see the Jojo, our player. I actually got this quote from Jojo's, his post on social media that, to his family, and it's like all of his family coming in, and I replied, those smiles right there are why we do this program, and why I love being part of it. I appreciate you. And his response is pretty typical of almost every USD player we have that said, no, thank you for the opportunity to work with Nilani and these kids. It is a blessing to them. I don't know about me being the man, but certainly God has blessed my heart doing this event. It makes a difference in my life as much as Nilani's, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of something like this. And that's what I know, that so many of these athletes feel this way about this program, because I've talked to them one-on-one and almost to a man. When I thank them for doing it, they're like, no, thank you for letting us do this. And up to the athletic director, Bill at USD, he was like, when he and I first met, he was like, oh, I've heard about you. You guys work magic. He's like, I've heard nothing but good about your program. So whatever you need from us, let us know, because what you're doing for our student athletes is life skills. And Coach Lindsay, he and I spoke, because I keep trying to get him to talk at the meet and greet, and he's like, no, you let the players do that. And I went and talked with him, and he said, John, he goes, I teach them X and O's between the lines and stuff. What you're teaching them and what you're given the opportunity to do is life lessons. And he goes, for that, I thank you. And he goes, you're much better at doing that than I am. I'm good at the X's and O's. You're good at the outside stuff. So let's just keep doing what we're good at. I was like, all right, coach, thank you. So here's picture Ryan with, his buddy last year, Bandy, in the bottom picture. And the top one is with Ross Dwelly. It says on there, actually, Bandy didn't make it in the NFL, but Ross is currently second string tight end for the 49ers. This last weekend, he had 4 catches for 42 yards. Last year, he had 2 or 3 touchdowns. And this last weekend at the auction, I believe his cleats were one of the bigger items that were bid on. He meant to throw the picture in here, but if you followed the auction last week, I'm sure you saw Ross. The NFL does cleats for a cause for one game of the year, and the players can wear cleats with a nonprofit's logo on them. And Ross chose ATPF. 49ers donated the cleats to the ATPF, and we auctioned them off. And last I checked, Dr. Levy, I think, was going to be adding those to his collection if he indeed outbid Todd and Dana throughout the whole process. So, Rebecca can kind of let us know the final tally on that. Another kid in our program, or another quote from Dr. Seuss: to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. This young man, Daniel, our program is nonverbal, but talked about smiles and excitement. He gets so fired up when he comes to a USD football or baseball game. And these pictures that in the next slide were from a baseball game a couple years ago that his mom came up and told me that they had to leave early. And I was like, well, hey, did you get a chance to say goodbye to Dante? And she was like, no. So I just came down, and I usually don't interrupt players during the game because they're in a game, and I get it as a coach and as an athlete. But he's a catcher, and it was the middle of the game, and I knew he wasn't going to be going in soon. So I just, in between innings, I was like, hey, Dante. And I said, Daniel's got to take off. And just happened to have my phone out to get a picture per Becca's request of getting 40 pictures per event. I was trying to do my due diligence. And got a picture, and this sequence of pictures I love because it started out Dante just leaning up on the wall above the dugout to keep his balance. And then Daniel leaned forward and reached between the net. And if you could zoom in on the picture, they're actually doing this in that picture. And in sign language, this means friend. So, and I talked to Dante and I was like, do you speak sign? And he's like, no. And Daniel communicates with the iPad, and I asked his mom if he spoke sign language. He said, well, we tried, a little bit, but so I'm pretty sure this was just another God thing of, I see what you're doing up there, of these two guys just happening to reach out and do that. And Dante, the baseball player, used these photos and his relationship with Daniel in his Leadership 101 class at USD as an example of how he wants to be a leader by just changing people's lives one person at a time. And then Daniel, I think the next one is Daniel with some other football players that we had in the next, yeah. So talking about the USD football, transitioning to the football program, we started this program in 2008. Since 2010, USD has been, well, in 2008 when we started the football program, we went to one game a year. We did a family day where we came to one football game. We got all our ATPF families there for the one game. We got to go down on the field and play with the players and everything, and kind of have that. And then we would do Winter Wonderland. Well, when Sandy and Dana and Lisa asked me to take over the program, one goal I wanted to do was get it to where we get to come to every game, because I was looking at building relationships, and it's hard to build a relationship when you meet at a meet and greet or a one football game and then at a holiday thing. So we've now, the last 8 years we've ran the program, we have been I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to double check, USD is undefeated in all of the games that we've been to over the last, so the first 3 years that we came to the one game, they won all 3 of those. And I'm pretty sure they've won all of their home games that we've attended. The only one I know they lost was Harvard. And we actually didn't go to that game because USC thought they're going to sell out our section. So they didn't do our ticketing thing for that game. But we've been to all but one game, and I'm pretty sure they've won them all. And I know they've won conference championship from 2011 through last year that we've been a part of, and allow me to, kind of show off the shirt here with the 2018 Pioneer League champs. These pictures here, though, are from the last game of the 2018 season, I believe, 17 or 18. So going through the pictures, on the left shows number 75 on the ground. He blew his knee out the last game that year. The picture below that is his teammates helping him off the field. The middle upper picture is the offensive line holding the championship trophy and smiling and just, living it up. The picture below that was taken about 2 minutes later when these two guys, Miles McCardle wearing 55 and Dan Cooney 75, went from arguably one of their proudest moments as a collegiate athlete of hoisting the trophy. Then they walked over 10 feet away, and there was Dan waiting to talk to him. And Miles took a knee to get down to Dan's level. And Cooney couldn't because he was on his crutches, but he's leaning in as close as he can to get it. And Daniel's parents had made the two-sided sign for the players, so he had his 55 and his 75. And then the bottom right picture is the following year when Cooney came back to play his senior year, and the look and expression on his face. Keep in mind, Daniel, the young man, is nonverbal, but he's doing this. And Cooney, it looks like they're having a conversation. I had 4 or 5 other pictures of this, and it just looks like they are having a conversation. And it just warmed my heart that this, I mean, Dan Cooney is 6'7", 325 pounds. Pretty big sized guy. And for him to just get down to Dan, and he just had so much fun. And he was one of the guys who thanked me every single time for letting him interact with this young man after the games. So that's, again, the character of these guys at USD that the program brings. And it's just the kind of guys that USD has in their program. So the next one is, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. So we're so lucky for them to have happened to us, and fortunate for more to occur in the future of all these moments that bring us together. Which I just realized I kind of skipped the first Dr. Seuss quote that memories are moments. See, I knew I was going to do this. No, I got it. Or did I do one at the end? No, I get to the end. Never mind. So next slide. Sorry, I got distracted. So here's our buddy Dominic, who was on the call. He had to jump earlier today. But Dominic's this young man who's kind of shy at the beginning. And this was one of the last games of the baseball season the year before, when he thought Nathan was going to be his last game. But Dominic was standing up, and his grandma had the poster, you can see her holding there, up on the Torero deck, and his players' parents came up. Wade, Nathan's dad, walked in and goes, "Hey, that's my son's number there. What do you got that?" And they said, "Oh, we're in this program." And they were able to, they have formed a bond. I mean, between Wade and Laura, Nathan's mom and dad, Nathan's brother and sister, his whole family in the picture. Dominic is pretty much like a little brother to them. And they've kept in touch, and he calls them all the time, and they chat, and he's really into the Incredible Hulk, and he just has so much fun with them. And with the football team last year, I had put Dominic with 2 twins on the team because I figured 2 guys would be needed to keep up with his energy. And they graduated. So this year we have 2 new twins on the USD team. So I put him with those 2 twins to double up the energy to try to keep up with Dominic, because he's got all that going on. Yeah. Today you're you that is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you. And to that, it's like, be the best version of you that you can be. But yeah, so this is one where USC football players, the player came and watched the kid play flag football. And the mom said that was one of the biggest things, that she was trying to get her son off the couch. And once Jack went and watched Andrew play football, she said that meant the world to him, that he felt validated, that because a real football player came and watched him play, that made him feel like a real football player. And that's just, and I guarantee you, Jack got as much out of going to a youth flag football game and watching him play and hankering back to his old days. So, so next slide. Yeah, here's what I was looking for. This is the nexus of my whole Dr. Seuss theory of sometimes you never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. And so this picture here, so this is the moment I knew we were onto something. This is, I think, the second or third year we were doing the program. This young man, Tanner, in the picture, was celebrating his 10th birthday less than a week after losing his mom to cancer. This was my first year running the program, and when I found out about his mom passing, I sent an email to Coach Carragher and just like, hey, would it be possible to get Tanner the game ball? You know, I'm just taking a simple, small gesture of here's a ball from this game to remember. Coach Ron Carragher, with his huge heart, took it a step further, told the entire team about Tanner before the game. The players dedicated the game to Tanner. And after the game, we all went down to the field. We had a birthday cake for Tanner. The players called him over to the team huddle before they came over to meet with the ATPF group and presented him the game ball in front of the entire team. And his buddy and a couple other guys threw him up on their shoulders and carried him across the field to where his cake was. And then he took his piece of cake, icing on the cake, if you will, took his cake, went up to Coach Carragher's office and sat down at his desk with his feet up on Ron's desk, eating his cake. And Ron came in, he's like, can I get you anything? Tanner's like, you know, a glass of milk would be great. And Ron's like, no problem. He opened up his fridge, pulled out a carton of milk for him, put it down, and he said, you know, we won the game, we did the cake for the kid, we did all this other stuff. That one moment right there is something I will never forget in my coaching career. So, yeah, just kind of what goes on. You'll miss the best things if you keep your eyes shut. So, literally, keep your eyes open to new things, new experiences, new people, new journeys, especially in this situation we're about. Dana talked earlier about the young man that was blind. His mom was concerned bringing him to a game because he's blind, that he couldn't see it. So I reached out to Eric Weber, who was at the time, I mean, he's still very vocal and he's an attorney now that represents kids with families with special needs. And I asked him if he would just, you know, announce the game describe the game for this one. Yeah. So I put him with Logan, and Eric was paired with the quarterback. So I knew he'd be watching everything that was going on. And I told Coach Carragher what was going on. He told the guys, Logan ended up having his best career day as a receiver because Ron wanted to make sure that the receiver was having enough catches to keep the kid interested in the game. After the game, in this picture, is the young man, Kyler, wearing Logan's helmet because he wanted to sensory and feel what it felt like. And after this, Logan put his shoulder pads on the kid. And this whole picture led up to, well, beginning of this, I saw the mom over in the field crying. And I walked over and said, is everything okay? And she said, my son has never ran like this. I mean, he's blind. I can't run like that. I mean, we kind of jog around maybe a little bit, but she goes, I've never been on a football field and had a wide receiver just take my son by the hand and say, run as fast as you possibly can. I got you, buddy. We're going to go. Where do you want to go? Just you lag me where you want to go. And they ran up and down the field. And she said her son, it was the best day ever for her son. So just another example of a player who caught almost 200 yards passing in the game and then ran another 200 yards up and down the field with the kid afterwards. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. That's just kind of back to be yourself. And one of the players, the quote on there was, one of the players had asked me to talk about his leadership program. And I said that I never really considered what we do to be social justice. And he said, you're bringing life experiences to people that may not have the opportunity. That is social justice. And he got an A+ bonus from his instructor on this course about, he did his whole thing about our football program, and Nolan's still involved in our program. And those were just a few of the questions that he asked me that day. So And I guess it was Todd's birthday right around when we did this, and Dave Erickson's birthday. So I think that's the happy birthday to Dave and Todd from that old slide. And just one other thing, just to share you guys real quick before we close. My background today, this 39 jersey was my Pop Warner jersey from 1969 when I was 7 years old. My thing's mirrored. The 69 jersey was from Patrick Thompson, who gave it to my son Lawson after when he came back for his 5th year of eligibility. He gave that to Lawson. And the 65 jersey is from Matt Paletti, who knew that Patrick had given Lawson the home jersey. So he gave Lawson his away jersey so he would have a matching set. And I just kind of liked how they framed my head in this shot. So sorry I went over with all my stories, but any time for questions? Anybody still there?
Yes.
Anybody? Bueller?
Still here.
Bueller? Sully?
So much
Oh,
fun.
and Sully wearing my USD Toreros tank top.
We love it. It's so cute. Yes, John, oh my gosh. I just love, I didn't want to, rush you at all. I think all of these stories are so important to tell because it really shows who Autism Tree is as a community, what makes us unique, and compared to other autism organizations is we have that heartbeat, that heart connection that Dana always talks about. And it's through people like you, who's one of our strongest heartbeats, that keeps us going through all of this, and challenging times for all of our families, because life, there's tons of challenges, and you bring the light and leadership to Autism Tree every day. And we're just so, I'm getting teared up about it because I've only been here for 3 years and you've been here for, since.
Yeah. I've been here a few more than 3. But I just want a quick shout out. I meant to shout. I know Ben's on the call. I just want to thank Ben, our USD. He's the director of operations for the team, and he's the one who makes what Rebecca and I do with the team click. He had twice as many football players show up on our recent Zoom call, which was an unforeseen challenge that I didn't know was going to happen, but it enabled me to realize one of my goals that I've wanted to do for about 5 or 6 years with the program, which is pair an upperclassman up with a freshman so that there's a built-in transition to the buddy when the senior or the upperclassman graduates. The kid already has a freshman buddy built in who will then be a sophomore, junior, and then that player will pair with another freshman the next year. So every kid in our program has at least 2 buddies this year. Some of them have 2 or 3. And it's something I've wanted to do. And this year with the whole virtual thing, it was one of those just decisions that I looked at it and I was like, we got a lot of extra guys here. And Ben's like, yeah, I just told all the guys to show up. Oh, great. Well, thank you for all you guys showing up. And I will pair you all with somebody. And instead of having a waiting list, we will double every kid up. And then I sent out a bunch more emails the next day. And so just thank you so much, Ben, for all you do and all USD does for this program and just making it easy for us to do what we want to do.
So true. Thank you. Thank you, Ben, and thank you to all the USD football players too. If any of them watch this later, we adore you all and think it's so special that you have such a heart for our families. I'm gonna go ahead and call time since we are a little bit over, but it was so worth it. This was so wonderful. Thank you, John, for taking the time today. And also, this was so last minute and you are always amazing and just so gracious, and we're just so blessed to have you as a part of our family, and I'm so blessed to know you. So thank you, John. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I will send a recap email that has all of our information about our USD football program that's going on right now. It's happening virtually like John mentioned, so if you want to be involved, in any way, let me know. And we'll take one last group shot before we go today. So I will take it on my computer. Everybody turn on their cameras and big smiles. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a very happy Wednesday and great rest of your week.
Everybody.
Thanks, Thank you so much. Have a great day.
We'll see you next week.